D&D has always eluded me. I never really had any of the books up until now. When I did have access to them, I just didn't understand them. And even when I made characters, it was still all too vague. I always needed way too much hand holding, and it was just aggravating. Nothing against D&D. I just all these years after trying it out, I thought it just wasn't for me. I'm ready to get back into it with 50. But even then, I have a few complaints. But that's not why we're here. Clearly, you can see the title of the video, and we're going to talk about my favorite game, Rifts. And a few of you might already know about this game. Maybe you have some praises. Maybe you have some complaints. They're all pretty valid, I would assume. So yeah, Rifts. How did I get? Yeah. So after trying out D&D, I had a character, and I was told, hey, you can take your character and carry him over into this other game. I said, okay, and so I did. I found that being a whole lot more interesting and fun, because the setting was a post-apocalyptic Earth. It was Earth, not like Middle Earth or some other like the made-up hokey fantasy realm. It was Earth, post-apocalyptic, Mad Max style. Or you can use any post-apocalyptic movie to describe this game. It's like Vampire Hunter D, or what else? Oh, that's all I got off the top of my head. You get the idea. It's a alien dystopia now. You have the dinosaur swamps down in the South North America. You have the vampire kingdoms of Mexico, the warlords of Russia, the 9 layers of hell in China, the land of dreams in Australia. It goes on and on and on. So yeah, that was my kind of TLDR version of getting into Rifts. It was just presented to me, and I'm a medieval fantasy character in a strange futuristic land. So had my guy Joseph Burwell. I'm sure you know most of them, or most of you know him. Sorry, and went to a techno wizard smith or something along those lines. Had some enchanted plate armor made into power armor, and his sword to match. This is more like a laser sword, if I'm not mistaken. Just all around fun and silliness. But yeah, clearly it's not the only character I had. I was into making all kinds of characters. The kind with the Palladium system that I mostly got into were superheroes. And I know the problem with superheroes, everyone wants to play Batman or Superman or the actual characters. But, you just have fun and make your own. It's what they're there for. So I ended up making this like physically strong, like pro wrestler looking guy. He had the lucha mask and meat hook with a chain attached. Very, very Lobo-esque. And I'd run around with this guy for a while, and it was kind of a weakling, but I was fine with that. That was actually pretty fun. And the best part of that was that he was just a regular, like overly muscly athletic guy took on some, I believe it was like a dragon, blackthorn dragon, and rolled a natural 20. Just a regular guy threw a meat hook at a dragon and killed it. I'll touch later on my characters in another video. But yeah, this mostly is my introduction to. I may or may not have copied D&D Sember, so this is Riftsember because I know it better. So there you have it. That's my introduction into Rifts. Just all around craziness. I'm already going to say that Rifts doesn't hide its imbalance. It embraces it. And I'm totally fine with that, having characters that are OP. You have mega damage. Um, and if you don't know what mega damage is, you have hit points. You know what hit points are. It's 1 point. 100 hit points is 1 mega damage. You have characters walking around with like 80 mega damage, sometimes up in the hundreds, maybe sometimes up in the thousands if it's like a dragon or like a demigod or something. What else? What else? Yeah, so you can have. You can play gods. It all depends on the guy running the game. Your GM, not your dungeon master, your game master. Game master. And usually they approve the character before you start playing. It's whatever they're comfortable with and whatever you're comfortable with. Because I've seen, whereas I usually try and balance the game myself with, well, you have your group. You have your guy who's clearly overpowered, and you have your lesser guys who are just like maybe just a regular human gunslinger or what's that? Oh, coalition soldier. I'll get more into the coalition as the videos go on. But yeah, we have regular guys, and then we have the guys who the players have juiced up at level 1. And what I normally did was running the games, max out the enemies and put them in front of the according characters. Make them stronger than the characters that they're taking on, and hope that no one gets a natural 20 on a called shot. Because I can't tell you how many campaigns I've mucked up because someone says, I'm going to cut his head off, roll a natural 20, and the main bad guy that I planned on showing up throughout the game generously is killed in the first encounter. Happens though. He's just got to try and be Josie about it. You gotta be. You just gotta roll with the punches, just like everything else. I don't think that's a good way of putting it. You just gotta roll with it. A good GM is flexible. They'll tell you that in the Game Master's Guide, along with, interesting enough, the was it the 7 deadly sins of gaming? Like sloth. You have your lazy GM. You have your wrath. Someone or your vengeful GM. Rifts all month long. Well, at least for the most part. I'm going to try and talk at great length about the game system that I've enjoyed for God. I think it's almost been almost a decade, actually over a decade. And here I'm holding the Rift Ultimate Edition. So we'll talk more about Rifts in the next video.